friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to share a massive amount of books that I read in October. I think I am on track to read at least 25 books before the end of the month. I've already read 24 and I'm currently reading a poetry collection, which I will show you. So I read a lot, so we're going to go through this as fast as possible, but the majority of my reading was accomplished at the beginning of October when I was participating in this super fun, I wish I could tell you all about it, event in my book club. It was amazing. It was super fun. I had the best time and it pushed me to read a bunch. I managed to read a lot off of my TBR, but I did read 4 things from the library, so we're going to talk about those first. First one that I read from the library is Lie to Me by J.T. Ellison. I ended up rating this 3 stars. I read this for the I'll Sleep When I'm Dead book club hosted by Reading with Jess here on YouTube. Overall, it was just like a little too drawn out, a little too long. It felt very much like Gone Girl, but like not as good as Gone Girl. There were just lots of times that I was bored throughout. I mean, it was an interesting story. If you like Gone Girl, I think you'll like this too. I just don't think it's as like witty or as quick paced as Gone Girl is. So 3 stars for that one. A lot of the thoughts and the feelings that Jesse and Haley had in the live show are the same feelings that I had. Like, I liked it, I just didn't love it. So go ahead and check out that live show if you want to hear their full thoughts. I'll try to remember to link it down below for you. All right, the next 3 I actually read on ebook, which is difficult for me because I really don't like reading ebooks, but I had to do it for the challenge. I read this middle grade graphic novel series, one of the parts of the series. It's called Big Nate, The Gerbil Ate My Homework. I did not rate this at all. I merely read it for this challenge. So I completed that prompt, but I didn't want to rate it because obviously it's not geared towards me. It's not something I would normally pick up. I read it super quickly and that was all that was important. Next, I read An Age of License, a travel vlog by Lucy Kinsley. And I rated this 3 stars. This is something that I would pick up. I do like travel vlogs. I'm a vlogger myself. And not only does this illustrator like traveling, but she likes illustrating and illustrating her travels. So I did like that aspect of it, but it actually reminds me a lot of what is that? It's Marble. I think that's the title of this other graphic novel, that the way that it was laid out and the very chaotic way it was laid out was very much reminiscent of Marbles. And Marbles I understood, but in this one I didn't understand sometimes, just kind of like the all over the pageness of it. Fourth thing that I read from the library, it has a longer title, but it's Get Out of Your Head, Something About Anxiety. This is a Christian-based book, so I also did not rate this. I read it for a part of that challenge that I was in my book club. It was interesting, but I thought there were too many pop culture references, and sometimes with these books, they tend to like get on a soapbox, and what I like so much about religion and religious texts, at least for me personally, is I'm able to read them and kind of dissect them and find out what they mean to me, rather than having someone else tell me what they think that it means to them. And so that's the problem that I had with that. But overall, if you're a Christian and you have anxiety, you may want to check it out, because I think there were a lot of good anecdotes along the way. But I left that unrated. Now let's go ahead and jump into all of the physical books that I read this month. The first 2 I'll point out are 2 poetry collections. The first one, Black Girl Call Home by Jasmine Mans. You guys, if you read poetry and you want to know more about Black culture, the Black experience, different moments in time of like Black celebrities or like Black people that have been in the news for good things, for bad things, and just know like their experience, or feel like you know their experience a little bit better, definitely check out this collection. On the back it says it's a collection about race, feminism, and queer identity, because I believe our poet is queer. And then it says it's a vital companion to any woman on a journey to find truth, belonging, and healing. I loved this so much. I rated it 4 stars. I highly recommend it. Yeah, just The only reason I rated it 4 stars instead of 5 stars is because I think the first third and the last third were the strongest of the collection. Somewhere in the middle, it got a little muddled, but overall, super strong collection. Highly recommend you pick it up. And then this is the one that I'm actually currently reading that I will probably have finished before the end of the month. I am currently on page 57, and that is Swimming Lessons by Leah Reinhardt. And this was on the Goodreads Poetry Choice Awards last year, and I bought it because of that. And here we are at the end of the year again, and there's going to be a whole new slew of poetry that I need to read. So I figured I needed to go ahead and knock off a couple of poetry. So what I did, and I might try to do, is when I finish a book, if I still have time later that day, is I'll pick up a poetry collection before, like, because the main time that I read is like at night before bed. Finish a book during the day, I'll go ahead and pick up a poetry collection and try to finish it before the night. This one took me 2 days, and this one I've already started. I'm on page, like I said, 57. So I will probably have that one finished, but highly recommended this so far. This one is just kind of okay. All right. Next up, I read some more graphic novels. I read the trilogy by Raina Telgemeier that is kind of like her memoir of her time in middle school, which includes Smile, Sisters, and Guts. Smile is about, she is running to her front door. She trips and falls and injures her 2 front teeth. And it's just she's in 6th grade, so as middle school. It's like this frustrating journey with on again, off again, braces, surgery, embarrassing headgear, and even a retainer with fake teeth attached. And it goes on for a really long time because they try to like reattach them, and then the reattachment doesn't work. And it's horrifying, especially like in middle school when you're trying to like impress boys and be the cool kid and everything else that goes on with being in middle school. And then I read Sisters, which is about just kind of these sisters being at each other's throat, but they go home, they go to like this family reunion, so they have to like travel like however many hours or whatever, and they're in the back of the seat and they're squabbling and all the normal stuff. They get there and stuff happens, and then the trip back, and just kind of them coming to an understanding with one another kind of. And then the final one, Guts, I really did not like this one because it didn't explain. Now, like I said, these take place in middle school, and they are her memoir, and she may have not wanted to use like more concise language. She liked leaving it a little bit open-ended. But with this one especially, I felt like I didn't know what the problem was, and there were so many guesses as to like what the problem was. Like she was basically having like, she had an upset stomach. She didn't know if it was like a bug, and then she's dealing with unusual highs and lows, friends, not friends, classmates, all this, and she's just having tummy trouble. And it says it coincides with her worries about food, school, and changing friendships, what's going on. And as an adult, maybe I think I was able to pick up more than I think a middle schooler would. And also there is a note at the back, an author's note about like the situation, which even cleared it up a little bit more for me. I think if you want to tackle a tough topic like this, you need to be a little bit more clear and concise, especially for a middle grade audience. But let's go ahead and go through my star ratings for these. I rated Smile 4 stars, I rated Sisters 3 stars, and I rated Guts 3 stars. So overall, it was an okay collection. Not my favorite, but it was fun. And then I also read the 4th Sunny Song graphic novel. This one is also set during the summer. Sunny seems to be getting a little bit older. She's a little bit more responsible now. She's going to the community pool during the summer, and she sees how busy the concession stand is. So she actually gets a job at the concession stand, and it's just her time working with like a little bit like teenagers in the concession stand and just all of that. It's so fun. It's so like, this is probably my favorite middle grade graphic novel series. I just highly recommend. I love the artwork. I love the stories. I love the messages. I love the representation. All of that is excellent. I ended up rating this one 4 out of 5 stars. And the last graphic novel I read is Delicates by Brianna Tumblr, and this is the follow-up to Sheets, which I also read during October one year, I think. But in this one, it follows mainly a different character. It does have our main character from the first one, but you also get a really big piece of story from a different character, and they are dealing with a lot, and it's like grief and depression and sadness and feeling like you don't fit in. I loved the representation in this. I loved the coloring in this. I loved the overall story, but I think I did enjoy Sheets just a little bit more. Yeah. So in this one, Delicates, I rated it 4 out of 5 stars as well. Right, in order to get through this a little bit quicker, I'm just going to go ahead and talk about some books that I read for videos. I read these two in a weekend reading vlog, so I will have that link down below where I go more in depth of my thoughts. I read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, which was one of my most highly anticipated reads. I rated it 4 stars. It definitely had some twists and turns along the way. It's about a couple. The marriage is on the brink of disaster. They go to this like little chapel in the middle of like a snowstorm, basically. Eerie things start happening. It's told in like multiple points of view. You have the wife and the husband and these letters that she has written to her husband on the anniversary. I really liked it, but I think the twist was kind of dulled by there being so much more after that, and that just kind of ruined my enjoyment of the end of the book. But 4 stars for this one. And then I was super excited to read Her Last Word by Mary Burton. This is something I like picked it up at the library. I actually picked up a few Mary Burton books at the library, and I never got around to reading them before I had to return them. And the reason why I went ahead and purchased this one is because you guys know I'm always looking for podcast thrillers, and that's what this was. Like it says, now Caitlin has only one way to assuage the pain and nightmares by interviewing everyone associated with the unsolved crime for a podcast that could finally bring closure to a case gone cold. Unfortunately, it was in the like pre-podcast stage where she was just interviewing people. I said in that vlog that if you liked Long Bright River by Liz Moore, you would probably like this one as well, because it's in Long Bright River, it's a sister looking for a sister, and this one it's like a cousin looking for a cousin. The writing was just kind of, I don't know, I wasn't really interested in it. It had a lot of like detective-y kind of stuff in it. Not only the main character looking for them, but like actually like the police were involved and stuff like that, of course, because like people started dying. But also it had like these weird sex scenes towards the end that like totally didn't need to be there. And then also through the course of the book, the main case is to find out what happened to Gina. And that you're reading this whole book, like trying to find out what happened to Gina, what happened to Gina. And then towards the end, it ends up taking a back seat to this other thing that like just popped up. And that made no sense to me. I don't know if I'll pick up any more Mary Burton, but if I do, I would like it to be like a personal recommendation from one of you guys, or I'm going to try to get books from my library again and try reading those before I go out and purchase them. But I do love the cover. One of my massive like videos that I did in October is I did a witchy vlog for you guys, and I love how it all came together. It did take me a lot of work because I read these books like sporadically through the month, and it was just kind of crazy how it all came together. The first thing I tackled was The Graces and the Curses by Lori Evie. This one was a reread, and this is the first time I've ever read this one. I rated this one 4 stars. I rated this one 2 stars. I would say if you were interested in this duology, to just read the first book and kind of ignore the second book. It didn't really need to be there. I was hoping it was like, I don't know, a continuation of the same, but like with maybe a different mystery that they were trying to solve, or I don't know, things like that. But if you're interested in a YA witchy story, Graces is good. It's kind of like a Twilight-ish type book. I would say it's like very heavily like Twilight, but The Curses was just a hot mess. I also read The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. This is about a sorority of witches, and they're trying to like figure things out. Like there's dark magic lurking among them, and they're talking about things from the past and the future, and there's spells and there's different kinds of magic, and it's a lot of fun. I ended up rating that one 3 stars, I think. The next one that I picked up is A Lesson in Vengeance, and I really wanted to love this because it definitely has like the most witchy cover, but unfortunately I just didn't like this. I liked the dark academia, I liked the characters. It was more heavily character focused than like plot focused, and I think that's where it lost me. So I ended up rating this one 2 out of 5 stars, but like I said, more of my thoughts for all of these will be in that reading vlog. And the last one I read for that was The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling, also known as Rachel Hawkins. This was fun. I'm glad I read it this time of year, but it's nothing to write home about. I rated it 3 stars. I liked the small town vibes. I liked the festival. It was light and fluffy and it was okay. I wanted more description. I wanted more from it, basically. All right, now the next stack of books are books that I have not talked to you about, and then the last 2 are going to be my favorite books that I read this month. I also vlogged my experience reading Brother. I forgot about that, but I did vlog this. It was supposed to be part of a larger horror reading vlog that didn't end up happening. So I just read it like by itself, and overall I'm glad that I read it, but it wasn't really like my thing. It was definitely more character driven than plot driven, and you guys know, what am I? Plot driven reader. So didn't really like that. Rated it 3 stars. It was all right. And then some other books that I was going to put in that horror reading vlog that I did end up reading, and I actually did vlog them, but I ended up just scrapping the vlog because I didn't like either of these books. I read The Drowning Kind by Jennifer McMahon, and I rated it 2 stars. And then I read White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson, and I also rated it 2 stars. So both of these were not my cup of tea. This one, it is a dual timeline, past and present, and it does have like slightly eerie vibes, but it just, the writing is just not my thing, and there were just so many of unbelievable things to me. Basically, you have this, in the past, there's this like hotel that has these magical waters around it, and then later that place gets broken down and I think it's turned into like a house, and then our main characters like swim in the same waters, but they always talk about these waters, like how dark they are, how like dirty they are, and how like you can't see to the bottom and all of this, but how they swim in it and all this. And I'm like, I would not get in a dirty swimming pool if you paid me money. Like, ew. So there were just so many like unbelievable things. Like, as an adult, she made so many stupid decisions, and I don't think she was really trying to get to the bottom of things, and it was just really, really bugging me. And like I said, I really don't think this writer, this author is for me. So yeah, 2 stars. And then I read White Smoke, and I really wanted to love this. What I think it did good is it did have creepy vibes. It was like kind of like a haunted house type story, but you have this blended family that moves into this house that's given to them for free as part of this artist residency program, which completely unbelievable. Let me just say this and put it on record that if anybody offers you a house for free, say no. Just say no, because nothing good is going to come of it. So not only did the adults ignore that red flag, but then when they were told that they cannot go into the basement, and the basement is locked and it's off limits, that's also another red flag. And then their children start trying to tell them that these weird things are happening, and they ignore the children time and time again. And then like weird things start happening around the house and they ignore those too. Not only that, so there were tons of red flags from like the parents involved. And the children, the main character, Mari, also known as Marigold, so I don't know why her name wasn't Mary, but whatever. So Mari, she is a weed obsessed, and the way that they were talking about it was just so not how it really is in real life. And also she has this thing with bed bugs, and it just became like, I like when characters have tics, but not when it's like that's all they become. And I felt like that's all she was. Creepy things were happening in the house, she's freaking out about bed bugs, she's craving some weed, and that's all it was. I liked the social commentary on what was happening in the neighborhood. the discussions about legalizing weed or not and the pros and cons. But there was just so much social commentary packed into this book that it just became muddled with everything else, with like her fear of bed bugs and the repetition and the red flags and the residency program and the blended family, and it was just too much. And at the end of the day, like, not that much happened. It was just so much repetition, and then you get to the end and the end came out of left field. I didn't really like the ending, so I'm landing on a 2 stars for this one. I know a lot of people are loving it though, so take my, thoughts with a grain of salt. I read a couple more thrillers, 3 more. I read The Wife Stalker by Liv Constantine, which is the same author of The Last Mrs. Parrish. I really enjoyed this one. I rated it 4 stars. This is one of the first books that I read in October, so my thoughts aren't very clear because, like you could see, I read a lot, but I did enjoy this. This is one of the books that I was reading in my vlog where I read 30 minutes every morning for a week, which was a lot of fun. Enjoyed it. It's about this couple that ends up breaking up, and he takes on a new wife, and they have children together. So the mom wants like custody of the children, and it's a whole like domestic thriller that was just messy and lovely, and yeah, I enjoyed it. And then I read Local Woman Missing, which I also did not like. It was very boring, so messy. I actually took a whole bunch of notes on this one. So you have the prologue 11 years before about this unnamed woman. Later on you find out it's Shelby. She's meeting up with this guy, but obviously she has a husband named Sam. Part 1 is like now, Delilah, she's trapped with Gus. And then part 2, 11 years before. Oh, it was part 1 that was really interesting. And then part 2, 11 years before in May. And there's just so many characters, so many timelines, like jumping around. And like none of them were interesting. There's husbands and there's children and it's basically about people going missing, and you're trying to figure out like who is who belongs together, where are they, what happened to them, and all of that. But one of the main storylines is about this girl that actually escapes her kidnappers, and she's reunited with her family because when she goes up to, she's running away from these people, she gets away, and she runs into someone, and the lady's like, what's your name? And she says her name, and she's like, oh my gosh. So she gets turned in, she gets reunited with her family, and the brother isn't connecting with her and stuff like that, but they're also trying to find out the boy that she was trapped with and like find out where the kidnappers are and stuff like that. So that part was interesting. I wish it would have focused more on that than local, like more people being missing and stuff like that. I think if it would have been built off of just that girl's story, it would have been really interesting. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. I ended up rating it 3 stars. It's kind of generous, but yeah, 3 stars for that one. The next one I read is All the Beautiful Lies by Peter Swanson, and I pretty much didn't like this one either. I rated it 3 stars as well. It's about a guy that's father dies, so he returns home from college, and his stepmom is living in the house, and let's see. Alice calls with shocking news his father is dead, and the police thinks it's suicide. He returns to his father's home in Maine, and while he's there, Alice, they help each other pick up the pieces of their lives and vow to uncover what happened with his father. And shortly after he arrives, this other woman, Grace, he meets her mysteriously. She claims to be new to the area, but he begins to suspect that she may not be a complete stranger to his family. There are some twists and turns with this, but I didn't find them very exciting. That's why I rated it 3 stars. Let's just out with the bad. I read a lot this month. A lot of what I read I did not like, but there were 2 standout books this month, and I want to talk to you about them right now. Okay, the first one that I read, which came, I don't know, at the perfect time when I was reading a ton of like crummy, mediocre books, and it was something that I would never have picked up were it not for this challenge in my book club, and that is Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. Guys, I cannot tell you how perfect this book was for me. It had everything that I love in it, including turtles, which if you don't know, sea turtles are my favorite animal. But I mean, it's not sea turtles in here, but they're tortoises, but it counts. there's kind of like this bad boy, kind of not really like rich boy, and the mousy nerdy girl, and they end up working together at this retirement home, and it's just really, really cute. It's a romance between those two, and the old like residents at this senior center are just as great. And there's two specifically, these two ladies just absolutely crack me up. Love them, and I just love this with my whole heart. I would never normally pick up a romance in the middle of October, but I did, and this is probably going to be one of my favorite books of the year. I'm so happy that someone in my book club actually sent this to me, and I just loved it so much. It was so good. I read it so fast. I just kind of want to reread it, but I have an on-again, off-again love-hate relationship with Sally Thorne. I really remember enjoying The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, which I believe is her debut, and then she wrote 99% Mine, and I hated that with my whole being. I think my review is called 99% Cheese because the dialogue was just too freaking cheesy. So if I had to rank Sally Thorne's like books, this would definitely be number one, and then it would be The Hating Game, and then it would be 99% Mine. This is like the best that she's ever done, and I hope we stay with like this type of vibe because it was just so good. The dialogue between the characters, the slow build up to the romance, the other side characters that were just important, just the setting and the pacing and everything. Absolutely loved this one. If you like romance, I highly recommend Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. And my next favorite book of the month, and the last book that I officially read so far this month, is a thriller, a new thriller, and it is For Your Own Good by Samantha Downing. You guys know I love Samantha Downing. I've read every single book by her now. I read My Perfect Wife. No, I always say My Perfect Wife, but it's My Lovely Wife. So My Lovely Wife, I rated 5 stars. I rated He Started It 4 stars, and I rated For Your Own Good 5 stars. But I don't know why I rated He Started It 4 stars, because I think about that book so much, and I actually think I like it better than My Lovely Wife. But we're not talking about that today. We're talking about this one. It has one of the most cringy, unlikable, ridiculous, gruesome characters ever. Teddy, what's his last name? Crutcher. He is such a pretentious asshole that like, he's almost like Joe Goldberg in the You series. He's definitely the antagonist, and you're not supposed to like root for him, but you kind of almost do. At the start of the novel, like he's the teacher of the year at this like prestigious prep school, and he teaches English and or language arts, whatever you want to call it. And one of his students gets like a B- or something like that on one of their papers. So the parents of the students come in and said, hey, can you offer our son like extra credit or something? So he gives them this ridiculous book to read and like write a report by the end of the week and all that. And the son's like, oh my gosh, my parents. But he does it. He ends up getting like an A-, which of course nobody's really satisfied with. Like the student could care less. He always just wants the best for his students. He wants to bring out their best. And he loves his school. He loves his students. But he's also a freaking psychopath. And he has high aspirations, and nothing is going to stand in his way of reaching his goals. It's super twisty and turning. You get more like side characters than you think you're going to. There's more twists that you're going to expecting. But in this one, it's not like shocking, in your face, oh my gosh, twists. It's just like the story keeps turning on its head over and over and over again. It's such an enjoyable reading experience. This book is 370 pages. It is so fast paced because you just want to know what's going to happen, and what happens you're not going to expect. So highly recommended this one. I was debating between like a 4 and a 5 stars. I don't know why, what was making me debate, but I just said 5 stars because I really did enjoy it. I couldn't find anything wrong with it. I love the writing, I love the pacing, I love the characters, I love the setting. So yeah, what was I even debating about? But I think it's because of that video that I made about like, are these books really 5 stars? But the answer is yes. These are both 5 stars. I expect to see them on my favorites of the year list for sure. But that wraps up the books that I read in October. It was so many. Now we get to move into more cozy, fun, holiday, and anticipated reads for November. But thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you read in October, what your favorite read was, what your least favorite read was, how your month went, because I definitely let you know how my month went. I hope you're all having a lovely day or night, and I'll see you guys again in another video very soon. Bye guys!